For more on this, we're joined by Rich Outzen in Washington, D.C. He's a retired U.S. colonel and geopolitical consultant. Rich, always good to have you on the channel. Why is there this difference between the way Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. view and deal with Türkiye, especially when it comes to the selling of F-16s to Ankara?
Well, it's a story as old as Alexis de Tocqueville, who noticed in the 1800s that interest groups in the United States affect domestic politics. It's both a virtue of our system and certainly a headache for people shaping foreign policy. Generally speaking, Republicans have been more inclined to take a geopolitical view of the world. So both during the Cold War and frankly, even before that, and to look at sort of a hard-headed calculation of where U.S. interests lies. I think the Democratic Party has had more sort of a organic relationship with some of the domestic lobbies, not just ethnic lobbies, but other ideological lobbies as well, human rights lobbies and so forth, that are inclined to divorce U.S. foreign policy from sort of geopolitical concerns and traditional alliances and focus more on the not only electoral politics, but frankly, ideological politics as well. So the Democratic Party in the current electoral cycle faces some strong headwinds. They've got a president who's not been, frankly, seen as successful and who is not seen as an asset to Congress as we approach the midterms. So we have many congressional members who are trying to drum up support and shift the focus away from the economy and shift the focus away from sort of the foreign policy disasters such as the Afghan withdrawal. And Turkey's a convenient target in that regard. So sort of bashing Turkey over events in the Caucasus or the Mediterranean and so forth is popular, certainly within certain sectors of the Democratic Party. This, of course, is difficult for our diplomats who recognize that coordination and cooperation with Turkey on Ukraine has been solid and is important, and in so many other areas as well. So I think a lot of it's tied to the electoral cycle, and a lot of it's tied to the incumbent party having some difficulties, but the personalities of the two parties also has a role.
Yeah, and President Erdogan is obviously in the U.S. at the moment for the UN General Assembly. There is a possibility of a meeting between Erdogan and Biden on the sidelines of the UN NGA. Is it surely not in the interest of both countries to try to iron out their differences and both these leaders to try to come together to just improve relations because they are so important for both countries?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think there is so much upside to this relationship that's not been realized. And it's not necessarily an immediate solution to the known problems over FETÖ and Syria and so forth. But in Ukraine, in Central Asia, where we see huge problems between the Russians and the countries who no longer want to be in the Russian orbit, like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, in Africa, where Turkey has growing sway. There's many places where we can collaborate and cooperate. So yes, it's absolutely in both sides' interest to talk through and work through these problems. Now, Yusuf earlier referred to these sort of lower level diplomatic conversations. Those have been very fruitful and very good. The Turkish Deputy Foreign Minister, Sedat Önal, was in town last week meeting with his U.S. counterpart. And I understand that the conversations were substantive and it addressed all of the important topics that you would expect, areas of cooperation, not just of sort of the standing gripes that both sides have. Now, the problem is that neither of the senior executives involved, even if there were to be a Biden-Erdogan meeting, neither one of them will have the time or the bandwidth, so to speak, to solve the bigger issues. What this needs is a re-engagement from both sides of the bureaucratic process. So the military and diplomatic leadership, basically, of the bureaucracies on both sides. And there's been certain structural factors that have pressed against there being that sort of cooperation for some time. I take it as a great sign that they're talking about having a meeting. I sure hope they meet. But what we need is several months, if not years, of renewed engagement rather than just one high-level meeting. This is a relationship that's been badly distant for some time. I'm glad that they're pushing to do it because it does take that top-level purchase to then get to that sustained bureaucratic engagement that will make things better.
Rich Outzen, always good to speak to you and get your analysis live to us there from DC. Thanks so much, Rich.